to the Saturday Night Swirl with your host, Roadrunner89. Hope you enjoy. How's everybody doing tonight? Happy Saturday night. This show is a bit early. Okay, having a good night. Hope everybody's doing well. This is going to be a quick show. Um, Me and my wife have plans tonight, and we're going to go out, have dinner, and just spend time together. So, but I wanted to put this show together, and I want to talk about Black women. Okay, and you see my topic: Black women are the hidden treasure, a true blessing. And if you guys see my last video, um, I talked about the value of Black women. I talked about my love for Black women, and my love will never be broken. Okay, um, I've been blessed by Black women in my life, from dating to marriage to friendships, uh, church members, co-workers. Black women have been a true blessing to me, and you know, and lately you guys probably heard, um, I've been talking a little bit about my health, and about my asthma, and serving 3 tours in Iraq, and sometimes I get down about that. Um, and that's why sometimes you'll see me short of breath, you know, and I got a lot of scar tissue, and I never smoked, I never done nothing like that, but they had me down. But I feel pretty good today, feel upbeat, you know. Hey, serving your country, that's it happens. And you know what? My body might have some damage, but it's not dead. Okay. I might be down at times, but I can pull myself back up. You know, as long as I'm living, I'm winning. And that's the mindset I'm in right now. And I thank you guys for having my back. And sometimes we get into some touchy subjects where we have different views, and sometimes I upset people, but overall, you guys have shown me love and respect. regardless of how we feel. And that's a beautiful thing. And I want to tell you, I appreciate that. Okay. And I love you for that. And, but tonight it's going to be a quick show. I will drop the link, but, I have plans with me and my wife, but I do want to get this live out. And due to my work schedule, I thought I was going to be off a little bit early today. Um, but I got off earlier than usual, and I wanted to put some slides out there and show you guys some data. Okay, let's see. I might show one of my old slides. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let me take down my thing. Take down my intro here. Okay, but there's something going on. There's something going on in our country. Um, and worldwide really is going on. Um, but people are opening up their options more and more every day. Okay, and I talk about that a lot. And when I talk about Black women and how beautiful are, how much of a hidden treasure Black women are. A true blessing. And from my experience, from my life, Black women have been amazing. Okay. Um, and I encourage people, good men to open up their options. I don't want no creepy white dudes doing it or creepy Hispanic guys or whatever. Um, but there is a blessing out there. There is an opportunity. Okay. And I think it would be good for us as human beings, good for us as a nation, opening up our options. Okay. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do that because most people won't. But if we have love for someone outside of our racial group, I encourage you to open up your options. Okay. And, you see the stuff going on in the news and all the craziness, and you see radicals on both ends trying to stir the pot. And then you got us in the middle, right? We might disagree, we might have different views, religious, political, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that as long as we're not harming each other. You know what I mean? Um, but we got radicals on the ends just trying to stir people up. And you got us in the middle that, you know, think clearly and see things for what they are. And I believe most people are generally reasonable. Okay. But it only takes a few to stir things up and create a mess. Right. But I think with opening up our options, not only will it benefit Black women and white men or Black women and non Black men, increase our marriage rates. Because let's be honest, in the Black community, only 26% of Black women are married. Black community has the highest out of wedlock birth rate. Okay. Now, we all need work in every group. So I'm not just pointing the finger at one group, but we got to be honest. Okay. And we're seeing success with Black women and white men. We're coming together, even though we have to, you know, jump through the hoops and, and people are hating us on both ends, trying to stop us from coming together. I look, I got 31 years of marriage. I've been through it. And I interracially dated for 9 years prior. So I got several years of dealing with that. And what you're going through, I've probably seen. I'm not going to say it because I've seen what you've been through because we're all different people, different experiences. But I do believe probably most of the stuff you go through, I've been through. Okay. And but I've been blessed. I have a good marriage, a good family. Um, and there's haters that hate me for being blessed. They see me and my wife Sandy, they hate on us. They just want to sling hate. They just want to go in, you know. And I've dealt with that all my life. So it's nothing new. And I'm not alone. You know, other interracial couples go through the same thing, and you know, I've talked to many of them. Okay, but you know what? The thing of it is, black women and white men, we're pushing through. We're being successful. We have long lasting marriages. Okay, and when black women and white men open up their options to each other, we do better. And I would encourage people to open up their options, but you got to be strong. You got to, love who you're with more than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to deal with some things because there's evil out there and trying to break up people that love each other. Why? Because we don't have the same skin tone. I mean, come on. Um, you know, but marriage through history, through time, ha- has has brought people together. Marriage has brought nations together. Marriage has stopped wars or created alliances. Marriage can be a huge blessing for our nation. And I believe more of us should get married. I want every community to get married, black community, white community. I want people to be successful. Okay. But we got to live in the truth. We can't just, assume things are going to work themselves out. Sometimes we've got to open up our options. And with the marriage rates low, I'd say black women especially, you know, the numbers are not in your favor. Okay. The marriage rates aren't good in your community. Okay. And yeah, there's some good marriages in the black community. I'm not saying all, I would never say all. Okay. But I think because of the culture and because of people not taking responsibility, we have a problem in our country. You know, our children are being born out of wedlock across the board. Okay. And I think more people opening up their options will increase the marriage rates. Not only that, marriage brings families together. Me and my wife's family came together through me and Sandy's marriage. Okay. Some people think that my wife's family, for some reason, didn't accept me and my family didn't accept her, but that's totally false. Both our families, were perfectly fine with us getting married. There was no problem. There was no issues. Okay? And that ain't everybody's story. Me and my wife been blessed. We didn't have to fight that family battle. But we did have battles outside. Haters, jealous people, you know, and you're going to have to deal with that. But I think those of us that that are strong, that are traditional, that want marriage, that want a family, and are okay with our kids not being as light complected or as dark complected, and we see people as people, we need to come together. We have too many too much stuff going on. Too many stereotypes flying around, too many generalizations. And I think if you're not going to be in an interracial relationship, if you're not going swirl to investment, then I think you should support swirl to investment and let people love who they love. Let them be with the woman they love or the man they love. I think that would bring our nation together and do some much needed healing. That's what we need. We don't need this us against them stuff. We don't need segregation. How did that work in the past? Not so well, did it? Jim Crow wasn't a good thing, was it? It wasn't. Okay, one group benefited while the other, paid the price. And if we ever, it'll never go back to that. But if we did, who would be on the losing end? The minority would lose. The majority always dominates, right? Regardless of the racial groups. So that wouldn't work. And we're we got too much divided stuff going on, you know? And black women are that hidden treasure. Black women are a blessing. Black women have blessed my life and my family. You know, my wife, I've been blessed, with my wife, my mother in law. My family love her. I don't know who mourned when my mother in law passed. I don't know who mourned more, my wife's family or mine. It was impactful. It made our family better. It brought two families together that might not have been brought together. So I think it's a good thing. It's a blessing, you know. And yeah, there's going to be a few people on each side that don't agree with it, but that's okay. Because once it becomes more of a norm, it'll become more acceptable. People start loving each other and quit looking at how dark or light we are. Okay. And I'm just saying, we need to come together. We, as a nation, and look, I can't, I'm going to be honest, I can't stand white nationalists or black nationalists. There, to me, are the radicals on both ends of the political spectrum. And most of us don't want those weirdos. They're just, they're agitators. They cause problems. They try to turn things into racial issues, even when it has nothing to do with the racial thing. Okay. And I would say that Charlie Kirk thing, that what to me, that's not a racial thing. That's a political issue. Let's keep race out of it. We're already at each other's throats over this stuff. Let's stop it. Let's come together. You know what I'm saying? Um, but swirl to investment, I think that's a blessing. If you got people that love each other, hey, let's do this. Look, I've always loved black women. You know, black women are amazing. Black women, have a big heart. Black women are loving and nurturing. I'm telling you, black women have had an impact in my life. And I'm not going to be silent and act like they didn't, and I might hurt some people's feelings. And I look, I have nothing against any other group of women. All women are beautiful and amazing, but something about black women. And I think that's the key in our nation. I really do. And as long as we're strong enough and we love each other, okay, let's swirl the right way. Let's swirl to investment. And if you're not down with the investment, don't swirl, okay? Because somebody's going to be hurt. You know what I mean? But we need to encourage swirl to investment. And then on my channel, not everybody that follows me is in an interracial relationship. Not everybody that follows me is interested in swirling to investment. Not everybody that follows me is down with the interracial thing. That's okay. But they do support me. You know why? Because they know I love my wife. They know my wife loves me. And we were able to break that color barrier. We were able to look each other as human beings and love each other for who we are. And that's a beautiful thing. And I see other interracial couples doing it and being successful. And what are we doing? Let's go where we're loved and celebrated. Okay. And look, some people have problems with me praising black women. They think I do. I do a little too much. I, honestly, I don't do enough. Okay, black women are a blessing. They've been a blessing to me. They've impacted my life, and I'm grateful, and I thank God for that. You know, and I got to give credit where credit is due. You know, from all the ups and downs in life, and things I've been through in my life, my wife's always had my back. She's always, been there for me to bring out the best in me. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, I got people that aren't into it that follow me because they like my message. They like how I love my wife. And they respect the fact that I was able to get out of my comfort zone, go against the grain, and live the life I want to live and love who I want to love. That there is freedom. And I tell you what, I wouldn't have it any other way. But I think that's part of our healing process. We should support it. Now, if you're a white guy and you only like white women, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But if one of your friends, a white guy, loves black women, support him, encourage him, have love and respect for him. And same thing I would say to the black community. If there's a black woman that wants to get with a white man or a non-black man, give her the love and respect and let her live her life. Okay? And I say white women go to black guys, let them go where they want to go. We got to stop this trying to police our race. That is so stupid, you know? But us as white men, we don't, in today's world, we're not trying to control white women. We let them do what they want. And we should. That's their business. Look, and people say, well, why are you messing with our women? What do you mean you're women? They're not property. They're people. The only woman that belongs to you is your wife. Because in marriage, you have a commitment. You give yourself to each other. Like me and my wife. My wife Sandy belongs to me and I belong to Sandy. And and the Bible tells us forsake all, meaning we love each other and that's it. You know? But we need to open up our options. We need to come together. We need integration more now than ever. Okay? I mean, civil rights, they fought for integration, right? We can come together and be treated equally. Well, I say we need to take it further. We need to love each other equally. And you know what that means? Some of us are going to open up our options. You know what that means? We're going to have more biracial children, and that's okay because they're beautiful people like the rest of us. Okay? And look, nobody's better than the other. Black, white, biracial, mixed race. We're people. And what are we doing? We got to fight the evil. And it's a crying shame that I got to, fight people to love my wife. Isn't that sick? Isn't it sick that somebody would attack somebody because who they love? But that's how our world is. And it's all over. I see it. I'm like, wow, what are we doing? It's okay to claim biracial. Yeah, it is. It is. I got biracial children. I love them. And my daughters are amazing women. My son's an amazing man. They're doing good things. They're all educated. They're living their own life. They're they took responsible for this themselves. Got their own careers. And that's the thing I'm most grateful that my kids are self-sufficient. and that's what it's all about. But it started in the home, it started in the marriage. Me and Sandy came together in 94 and never looked back. Had children, and then watching them grow, you know. Remember the first, bring them home from the hospital and excited, a new member of the family, and then they go to school and you're like, man, you're excited for that first day, and they're excited, and you watch them grow through life. You watch them, make mistakes. You watch them, but then you watch them overcome those mistakes and you watch them grow, and then you watch them graduate. I tell you, for me, when my kids graduated, I would get emotional, and I'd give them a speech on how much I love them and how I'm proud of them and I want them to, excel, and how this is one step in their life and there's more steps, and encourage them to move further. And I would get so into it. And my son and my youngest star said, Dad, you got to give us that speech. And gladly, I will, you know. And they graduate high school and then college, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you did something right. Okay. Me and my wife are not perfect. We make mistakes, but, our children listen to us and they're doing good. And they have children of their own now. They got their family. And that's what life's about. Come together. We live in an amazing country. We really do. And but what would make it better is if we came together and love each other. Let's stop separating ourselves. Let's, let instead of being us against them, let's just make it us. Okay? That's what I want. Stop saying black women are FBA women. You should say Haitian African immigrant women. Okay, if I see a black woman, how am I going to know if she's Haitian, African, Nigerian, if she's from Jamaica? How do I know? Or was that to me? I don't know. I just looking at the comments. It's beautiful to be biracial. Sure is. They love calling us Bedouin, and you know what? I hate them using that word. Okay, it's derogatory. It's hateful. Okay, just because you love a man that is a different skin tone, that's uncalled for. We're people here. We need to get more mature and understand that we're human beings. And so anyway, but to increase marriages, I look at, and I'm going to put this stat, and this might make some people upset. Okay. Um, and maybe that's kind of a little stereotypical. Okay. Some people say, look, Roadrunner, you kind of doing stereotype. But the data here, black women, white men marriage is most successful, longest lasting. You know, black women, white men marriages have over a 50% less chance of a divorce than a black couple. 44% less of a chance of a divorce than a white couple. Okay, so we're winning on both ends, black women, white men, when we come together. Okay. Um, According to the marriage stats, only 30% of black men are married, 27% of black women. That's changed. Black men has went up a few points. I think it's like 31 or 32%. Black women has went down to 26%. Okay. So the marriage rates ain't good in the black community. Both black women and white men are the hardest working. Statistically, they are. When you look at the, you know, unemployment stats, education level, and the most loving, loyal need to come together in love and marriage. Okay? And that's facts. That ain't me making up this stuff. Okay? Now, am I going to boast about the stat? No. It, we have low marriage rates in America, and we can point to who has the lowest. We could go there, and we got to know the truth, but we all need to get it together. But I'm thinking swirl to investment. We need, but you got to think if you look at the flip side of that, black women, white men are doing better outside the race. It seems that black men and white women do worse for some weird reason. Okay. And maybe it's how we come together. I think it's a cultural thing. I think a lot of times with black men and white women, it's more of a pro black kind of a worshiping thing. Okay. And not all do this, but I think a lot of them do that. That a lot of times black men want their children to identify as black and be pro black a lot of times. Whereas white men, we look at it like, okay, our children are biracial. If they want to call themselves black or white, they're both. We don't really care. Okay. And I know some people will check me, well, what about the white supremacists, the one drop rule? Yeah, that's a thing, but I'm talking in today's world. Okay. In the past during Jim Crow, that stupid one drop rule was dumb. But a lot of black people are practicing that one drop rule by telling biracial or mixed people, you ain't black unless you're fully black. Well, what did the white supremacists say? You're not white unless you're fully white, right? Same stupidity, just different people. Just this, and then the thing with the colorism thing, degrading people because they're dark complected. Well, yeah, that came out of white supremacy, but why do black people practice it? The point I'm trying to make is regardless of your color, you can be evil, but you can also be good. You know, one is not superior to the other, but your success in life depends on the decisions you make. If you're going to work hard and do the best you can, you're going to do pretty good. If you're not going to put forth effort and blame everybody, you're pretty much going to be at the bottom of the barrel. But my thing is those of us that love people of a different race, different ethnicity, leave us alone. Let us love who we want to love. As long as that person we love accepts us and loves us back, it's all good. Stop the hate, you know? And I'm telling you, God's in this. And why is He making black women and white men marriages successful? Why are we being blessed? Maybe because we're a little more strategic, a little bit more hardworking, and we look beyond the good time now. We look into the future, family, house, marriage. Okay. All right, we're talking about FBA. I haven't really looked in foundational Black Americans. Is that like descendants of slaves? Is that what that is? I've heard it, but is that what it is? That like excludes like black migrants that came after slavery? Is that what that is? I don't know. I'll have to look into that, study that, what that is. I think it's something like that. But anyway, but I think we need to open up our options and support people that do. Like I said, I got white people never been in an interracial relationship, but they love my channel and they love how I love my wife and they support me because they like seeing people like me that look at people as people, you know. And there's black couples that follow me that aren't don't want to do the swirl, and that's their business, but they have love for me. Okay, and look, I got a lot of white women that follow my channel, and some might take it personal because I uplift black women, but a lot of them understand what I'm saying and support me with love. And believe it or not, there's black men that follow me too and believe in what I'm saying. Okay, and they're not coons and sellouts like people like to label people. They just see the truth for what it is, and they don't get all feeling some kind of way because a white man loves a black woman. They see it as love is love. You know what I mean? So the people that support me, I love you and everything. And I'm telling you, we should open up our options. And guys, and don't be mad at black women because they divest. Divestment is necessary. And listen to me, okay? Some people have talked to me. Well, what about the divestors? Like it's some evil thing. Like, no, divestment is women self-healing, going to a safe place, you know, maybe a different culture, maybe a different neighborhood, maybe they don't want to deal with the black community, with the culture and feel it's toxic and unsafe. Hey, women can go where they want, and we should support that. Let me give you an example of not, and people say, well, what if white women divest from you? Hey, I support them. Do it. Do what makes you happy. Like take an example. Becky lives in the trailer park, right? And her community, okay, the men she went to high school with, she's dated, and let's say the men didn't treat her right. Uh, she had a boyfriend that was abusive, put her down, and then she got married, and the guy beat her, and her where she's at is unsafe. Okay, so Becky, being in the white community, is toxic, and she feels unsafe, and she needs to get out. So she finds an Asian man. So she goes to the Asian community. That man treats her like gold. He takes care of her. He loves her. He protects her. Okay? And she don't want nothing to do with the white community because that's where she was abused. Guess what? She has every right to do that. And I would support that. And it shouldn't have no bearing on my ego because she's white like me. That is stupid. I support divestment. And I'm telling you, some ladies, it's necessary. And I'm telling you, a lot of black communities are toxic and dangerous. And before you can understand what somebody goes through and why they do what they do, you need to understand what they're going through. You know what I'm saying? Before you cast judgment. And let me tell you something. This thing about you got to be loyal because we're the same race is garbage. Okay? It's destructive. It gets men the false sense like they can do what they want because all you have to choose from is me. That's wrong. You need to go where you're loved and celebrated. Okay? And ladies, let me tell you the truth here. I promote swirl to investment, right? And statistically, with marriage, black women, white men are doing the best. But let me tell you something. There's two groups of men that are dominating financially. Okay. You know what the two groups of men that are dominating financially in America? It's not the white man. Okay. It's not the black man either. It's, you know who these men are? It's the Asian and Indian community. Statistically, they're doing the best financially. And why is that? Is it because they have character, a good work ethic? Hmm? Is it because they're family orientated? Now, my group of white men are not dominating financially, statistically. Okay, it's Indian and Asian. Now I could get butt hurt and feel some kind of way and attack them and make fun of them, and but why? Tell you, a smart thing to do is observe. Find out what they're doing that is successful, why their marriages are last, why they're doing good financially. I tell you what it is. They're hardworking, they're disciplined. That's a good thing. And black women, you should, I'm just saying, there's opportunity there. I mean, and black women, you don't just belong to the black community. Your community is where you want to live. You're a citizen of this country. It's all yours, including the men in it. Who do you want to date? It's about you. Women, you make the choice. I'm just saying, but I got to be honest, okay? We're not always the best, but the man that works hard and does the best he can is the one that's going to win, okay? And a good man, you, you know what makes a good man? A good woman behind him, a good wife. I know I wouldn't be successful without my wife. There's no way. I believe I'd be successful, but not like with my wife because of her love, because of her commitment, because of her character. She makes me better with her love, her support. Okay? Okay, let me show you guys some videos real quick. And some, it might drift a little bit, but what we're talking about, but it's generally going to talk about interracial relationships. Okay? But my theme tonight is black women are that hidden treasure, the true blessing. And I do believe in my heart that black women are the solution to our problems in our nation. I believe more of us men seek out black women that love black women, seek them out for love and marriage. I think our nation would be a lot better off. And I'm talking all men, good men, be with black women. There are good and bad in every group. But I think black women are so powerful with their love, with their nurturing, that more black women in our families would make our families better. Has made mine better. Just saying, more black women in our communities make our communities better. I believe that. But us as men, we got to prove we're worthy to date black women. We got to prove we're good men. Okay? We need to do that. And black women need to have a standard across the board, regardless of the color. Okay? We should all have that as people, men and women. Have your standards. Okay? You know? And everybody has a right to their standards. Okay, I'm going to show this real quick. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Okay, you get my point. You can read it, right? News reporting, teaching, research, education. Okay, that's why we're going to show these videos. Okay, and they're pretty good videos, but I want to show you a video and let's talk about it. I'll talk about it after I'm done here. Okay. And this one,
There was a time when simply
okay. 20 white men who love black women. Okay, you see the first picture, right? Richard and Mildred Loving, right? Made interracial marriage legal in every state. 1967, right? Okay, we know who these people are. Okay, and look, they stayed together, even though Richard Loving was, people wouldn't give him a job. He had it rough because he was married to a black woman. Okay, he had to endure some hardships and provide for his family with whatever work he could scrap and get it together. But he did it. He made it happen. Okay. But anyway, let me show you this video.
arrested. 20 white men who love black women. There was a time when simply loving someone of a different race could get you arrested. For these white men, falling in love with black women wasn't just a personal choice. It was an act of defiance. They challenged the law, defied social norms, and stood strong in the face of harsh judgment. One man even told his lawyer, "Tell the court I love my wife, and it's unfair that we can't live in Virginia." If you're ready to uncover the love stories that changed America forever, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next. From Hollywood royalty to everyday mothers, love between black women and white men has long stirred controversy. But these 20 men, from musicians and actors to a prince and a world-renowned chef, chose love above all else, defying expectations, breaking barriers, and rewriting what society thought was acceptable. Richard Loving and Mildred Jeter. Richard Loving, a white construction worker from Virginia, never imagined that loving someone could make him a criminal. But in 1958, when he married Mildred Jeter, a black woman of African American and Native American heritage, their love became the center of a legal storm that would change the course of American history. The couple traveled to Washington, D.C. to marry legally, knowing interracial marriage was banned in their home state. But just weeks after returning to Virginia, they were arrested in the middle of the night and charged with violating the state's anti-miscegenation laws. They pleaded guilty and were sentenced to a year in prison, suspended on the condition that they leave Virginia and not return together for 25 years. Exiled from their community, Richard and Mildred relocated to Washington, D.C., but they longed to come home. Mildred, frustrated and determined, wrote a letter to then Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, who referred her to the ACLU. What followed was a legal battle that led to the landmark 1967 Supreme Court ruling Loving versus Virginia, which struck down all laws banning interracial marriage in the United States. Richard, a man of few words, captured the essence of their fight with a simple yet powerful statement. "Tell the court I love my wife, and it's unfair that we can't live together in Virginia." Their case was not just about them. It was about every couple who dared to love beyond racial boundaries. Tragically, Richard died in a car accident in 1975 at the age of 41. Mildred passed away in 2008 at 68, but she lived to see the world their love helped reshape. John Barry Ryan III and Eartha Kitt. John Barry Ryan III was born into American aristocracy. His family was deeply rooted in wealth, privilege, and old money traditions. As an heir to banking and shipping fortunes, John was expected to live a life of refinement, marry within his social class, and uphold a legacy of elite expectations. But all of that changed when he met Eartha Kitt. Eartha was a magnetic performer with a sultry voice and electric presence. She was already a star in the 1950s, known for hits like C'est Si Bon and Santa Baby, but her career came with its own battles. As a black woman navigating a segregated entertainment industry.
All right, let me stop real quick right there. Okay, we know about Richard and Mildred Loving. Okay, they were everyday people. He was a construction worker, um, middle class guy. They grew up in Virginia, and they fell in love. Here you got Eartha Kitt and her husband. We know who she is, right? And I believe she's biracial. I think she was biracial, but the one drop rule, you gotta, they just classify back then mixed race or biracial is black because white supremacy, you have to be pure, just like today's pro-black got to be pure. Um, it's kind of funny how racist patterns can cross racial lines, but it's beautiful to see. And even in time of segregation and where, black and white people come together was looked down upon, people defied society. And they took their swirl to investment against what society said they should do. And, these people back in the day, they were like the pioneers. They broke the ground so the rest of us can open up our options, so the rest of us can love each other, so we can grow as a nation, and not as a segregated, divided nation, but as a united nation. We are not the segregated states of America. We are the United States of America. We are not Black America. We are not white America. We are America. One group didn't build this country alone. We all build it together. Yes, we had some horrible things in our country. Yes, we had sin. Yes, we had corruption. But we fought that and we won. We had abolitionists fight the good fight. We had a civil war to get rid of our sin that we were doing. Any other nation did that? Because slavery was a worldwide thing. It wasn't just an American thing. Okay? But we defied the odds. We fought the evil to come together, to love each other as people, as human beings. And these people went through it. They were harassed. People, didn't give them jobs, or they had to work a little extra harder because they didn't like their interracial relationship. But they made it through. Anyway, let's continue.
When John and Eartha crossed paths, sparks flew, and soon their relationship became the talk of high society, and not in a flattering way. Their romance wasn't just unconventional, it was scandalous. A white man from one of America's most elite families dating a black woman in 1950s, America was virtually unthinkable. Gossip followed them everywhere. Eartha later described how,
hey, and let me tell you something. If you don't think white men love black women, he comes from a prominent family, wealth. And knowing he's going to get attacked, he chose the black woman. All through history, white men have loved black women. Don't get it twisted. And white men today love black women. And a lot of white men are like me that just want to be with black women. Just not everybody's out there saying it. Not everybody has the courage to say it. I'll say it. I love black women. Only option for me. Okay, let's continue.
Deeply the public scrutiny affected her, not just emotionally, but professionally. Opportunities began to dry up, not because of her talent, but because of the color of her skin.
Right, because of the color of her skin and because she's with married to a white man. They did not like that. And I'm telling you, the most hated couple in America today is the white man and the black woman. I'm telling you. Uh, both black and white nationalists hate that combination. Well, they hate any combination, but they really hate the black woman white man combo. But that's too bad. That's the way we're going. That's the way we need to go. Okay? But look, her roles were dried up because she's married to a white man. It wasn't because of talent. She had talent, no doubt. In fact, the real Catwoman is Eartha Kitt. There's no other Catwoman actress better than Eartha Kitt. I'm just going to say it. When I think of Catwoman, it's Eartha Kitt. Okay, let's continue.
And the man she loved. Eventually, the relationship couldn't survive the weight of the judgment. But Eartha never forgot John. She described him as one of the few people who truly saw her, beyond the fame, beyond the exotic image. "We were not rejected because of who we were," she once said, "but because of what society thought we represented." Matt Stone and Angela Howard. Matt Stone is best known as one half of the creative duo behind South Park, the long-running animated series known for its edgy, no-holds-barred satire. But beyond the outrageous comedy, Stone has lived a surprisingly private and grounded personal life, especially when it comes to his marriage to Angela Howard. Angela, a black woman with a sharp intellect and a background in production management, met Matt in the early 2000s. Their connection was immediate, and in 2008, they quietly tied the knot. Together, they've built a peaceful, low-profile family life, raising 2 children away from the tabloid spotlight. While Matt's career put him at the center of pop culture controversy, his relationship with Angela was the opposite: steady, private, and rooted in shared values. Yet, as an interracial couple in the public eye, they were not entirely immune to judgment. Though the couple has rarely addressed it publicly, fans and media alike have speculated about their dynamic and occasionally projected racial narratives onto their union. But the Stones never played into the drama. Matt has spoken highly of Angela's influence in his life, crediting her for grounding him and supporting his work without stepping into the spotlight. Their love story isn't flashy, but it's real. Despite the whispers, they've stayed focused on what matters: their kids, their marriage, and their privacy. In a world of oversharing, that kind of quiet commitment is almost revolutionary. Errol Flynn and Eartha Kitt. Errol Flynn, the legendary swashbuckling star of Hollywood's golden age, was no stranger to scandal. With his devil-may-care attitude and a reputation for wild living, Flynn often courted controversy, but perhaps one of the boldest chapters of his life was his romance with Eartha Kitt. This was the early 1950s, an era when interracial relationships were not only taboo, but often met with open hostility. Eartha, already rising to fame with her unique voice and fierce stage presence, found herself drawn to Flynn's charisma and rebellious energy. Their connection was instant, fiery, and for a time intoxicating.
Okay, let me stop here. This is a pretty long video, so I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. But what I'm trying to show you is we had couples back in the day that opened up their options. They decided to take their swirl to investment. And, when we talk about swirling, that slang word came up because we think of swirl, black and white. So interracial relationships. And when I see, when they talked about swirling, and swirling can be good and bad, depending on how you swirl. If you're swirling to see what it's like to be with a black woman, that's wrong. But if you're swirling because you love black women and you love her and want her to be your wife, that's the right way to swirl, right? So I put the term swirl to investment. What's the most important investment somebody makes is marriage. I tell you, if you get a good wife, you're blessed. If you get a wife that the wrong one, hey, your life's going to be tragic. And same thing for the ladies. You get a good man, you're good. You get a bad man, not so good, right? Your investment, it could turn out to be a good investment or a bad one. I look at it that way because, you know, people think of investment as money, but when you marry, you're investing your life, you're investing your love, you're investing your love, your emotions into one person. You're giving your all. And for us men, when when we take a wife, we give her our family name, and we make her part of our family. We come together as one. you know for my wife Sandy, I give her everything. My love, my affection, you know, my wealth, my last name, everything. And in return, she gives me all her love. She gives me everything. You see how that works? And that's how marriage works, and you become one. You know, and some of us are becoming one interracially, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, but we still gotta do it the right way. We still gotta vet each other. We gotta have our standards. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I believe that, Felicia. You're right. You know, and it has improved. And we're finding out we're doing good. Look, black women have been a blessing to me. And the thing with, and let me speak to white men. You might think black women don't like you because the racial element there, and the nation's history. And let me tell you something. Now there are pro-black women that will hate you because you're white. Not even they won't even talk to you. Okay, but there are black women that see you as a human being, and if you treat her with love and respect, she'll give you a chance. They're out there. There's more out there than you'll think. I'm telling you. You know, and black women, same thing. There are a lot of white men that would love to date you. There's a lot of Asian white men, Hispanic men, Arab men that would love to be have a black woman as a wife. Hey, we're out here. We need to get to know each other and get out of that comfort zone. Beat down that wall. Break those chains. Hey, choose your own path. And I believe in being a rugged individual, choosing your own path. I don't believe in the collective, like we got to live the same. To me, that's stupid. The only way, in my opinion, we should live in the collective is when it comes to our nation, our you know, as Americans. We come together as a nation. That's the collective thinking I think we should have. But when it comes to our personal life, we choose our own path. Who we want to marry, who we want to date, who we're attracted to, who makes us feel good. Hey, the world is ours. We just got to take it. And what I mean by that is live our life the way we want to, you know? And it doesn't hurt nobody when people open up their options. And here's the thing is if you open up your options, do it because you love that person. And you don't need to bash people in your group while you open up your options. Okay? I never felt I had to bash a white woman to express love for a black woman. I just say I love black women. That's it. And that's all it should be. You love who you love, right? Anyway, let me fast forward a little bit because I got a few other videos. The other one's going to be short. Okay, let's go to David Bowie. That's a good story. Okay.
Respect, trust, and authenticity. Bowie often referred to Iman as his muse, not just for her beauty, but for the way she inspired him to stay centered in a chaotic world. Still, even in the 1990s, their interracial marriage attracted attention. Some of it was celebratory, two international icons in love. But there were also whispers and intrusive questions, especially aimed at Iman. As a black woman in the spotlight, she faced a specific kind of scrutiny. Yet she remained poised, often reminding the public that her relationship wasn't about image, it was about love. David didn't see color or status, Iman once said. He saw me for who I truly was. Their marriage lasted more than 2 decades, a rarity in showbiz. Together, they raised their daughter, Lexi, and lived mostly out of the spotlight. While Bowie's career spanned galaxies, his home life with Iman remained the gravitational force he always returned to. When David passed away in 2016, the world mourned a legend. Iman mourned her soulmate. To this day, she has called their relationship a once-in-a-lifetime love, and she has never remarried. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. When Prince Harry, the youngest son of Princess Diana and King Charles III, began dating American actress Meghan Markle.
Okay. All right. Let me see some. Okay, that guy's a dusty white dude. He divorced her and moved on, so we're not going to cover you, guy. Hey, George Lucas, right? All right, let's go.
George Lucas and Melody Hobson. When Star Wars creator George Lucas married businesswoman Melody Hobson in 2013, it marked a union that brought together two titans from completely different worlds. Lucas, the visionary filmmaker behind one of the most influential franchises in cinematic history, and Hobson, a highly respected finance executive and president of.
Yeah, George Lucas, Star Wars movies, Indiana Jones. I love the Indiana Jones series, and I've been having a fantasy where I was going to make a comic book called Captain Swirl: Amazing Adventures, where he'd be like an Indiana Jones character, but it wouldn't be like like some people think he'd be like messing with different women. No, it wouldn't be like swirling like that. He would have a wife that would, be on an adventure with him. It would be more of a traditional type swirling. But I like that image, of an Indiana Jones, someone that's highly educated, adventurous, but have a black woman by his side. That'd be awesome. But yeah, George Lucas is a legend when it comes to movies and stuff. But he opened up his options. He could have married any race, but he chose the black woman. David Bowie, same thing. He could have chose an Eartha Kitt's husband. These are high value men, wealthy men with privilege. They chose the black woman. Let me tell you something. And their marriages lasted. Okay? I'm just saying, black women are that treasure. And we love black women. A lot of us white men love you, black women. Don't kid yourself. They might not go around saying it like the Roadrunner does, but they love you. Just saying.
Aerial investments proved that power couples can transcend not just industry lines, but racial and generational ones as well. Their relationship began quietly, built on mutual admiration and shared values. Melody, known for her intelligence and poise, brought a grounded clarity to George's creative intensity. In interviews, both emphasized the importance of balance in their marriage, personal growth, professional independence, and an unwavering respect for each other's achievements. As a high-profile interracial couple, they were not immune to public scrutiny.
Okay, let me stop right there. But anyway, my point is, and that's a good video. You can go and watch it. Is 20 men who love black women. Okay. And these are, men of character. These are men that chose to be with a black woman over any other group of women. Okay. And that says something about black women, does it not? Black women are that hidden treasure. And we love you whether we're everyday middle class, upper class, celebrities. We're all swirling to investment, it seems. That's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing. Okay. Now I'm going to show you this one short video, and this is an example how a black woman with love and understanding can change a man's heart. And I believe black women have the power to change a man's heart, and believe it or not, can change our nation. I'm just saying. But this is an example of two people coming together uh, with friendship. One guy, he was a Klan member back in 71, I think it was. And she was like a civil rights uh, activist, I think. And they had developed a friendship, even though at the beginning they were fighting because the racial thing. But it's a short TikTok this guy did. Um, but it just shows the power of black women. Let me show you this.
Right, his name is CP.
Okay. All right. And they made a movie about these people. But these are the real people. He's going to explain who they are.
The guy on the right, his name is CP Ellis. He is a Ku Klux Klan leader from Durham, North Carolina. The woman on the left, her name is Ann Atwater. She is a civil rights activist from Durham. This photo was taken in 1971 during a series of meetings where these two came together and they were trying to alleviate some of the tension and hostility that was taking place in the school system because the system had recently been desegregated. And both of their kids attended those schools. So during these meetings, CP and Ann would both bring things from their community into the classroom to try to help students get a better understanding of the other side. One of the things that CP brought was an actual Klan robe. Now, black kids were furious. They wanted to burn the robe, but Ann stepped in and said, look, before we do anything drastic, let's get a better understanding of where that side is coming from. Now, this action caught CP off guard, and he gained a lot of respect for Ann when she did this. These meetings lasted for about 10 days, and at the end of those 10 days, he had grown so fond of her that he dropped out of the Klan, ripped up his Klan card, and actually spent the rest of his life fighting for civil rights. So they did a movie on this called The Best Enemies. They wrote a book, documentaries, and this is just a crazy story to me. From Klan leader to civil rights activist, man, all because he took the time to get a better understanding of the other side. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, that's dope. No, but seriously, think about this. He's a Klan member. She's a civil rights activist. Okay. And, the black kids wanted to burn the Klan robe, and righteously so, but she's like, wait, let's see where he's coming from with this. Let's try to understand, not that she agreed with it by no means, but let's hear what he has to say. Let's try to understand him. Okay. By her doing that, by talking, by communication, by her showing love and not fast judgment, she changed that man's heart. He went from a Klan leader to a civil rights activist. Let that sink in. And I want people to focus on this story and think about this. And I hate bringing this up because it is tragedy. But Charlie Kirk thing, people say, "Well, he's a racist and he got what he deserved and all this stuff." And you see black churches saying, "Well, why are they honoring him?" And they're so concerned. But where were you when this man was speaking at colleges? Where were you? Did you try to talk to him? If you thought he was racist, did you try to change his heart? If you thought he was so bad, because I'm just saying, this woman could have. And look, Charlie Kirk, I don't was no Klan member or nothing like that. But if there was a problem, and you want somebody to go to your side and convince them your side's better, isn't it better to win the hearts and minds? Think about it. She put enough love and character, gained his respect, and he listened. He figured out, what am I doing? Because how does somebody get into a hate group? How does that happen? How does somebody, I mean, whether it's someone that's black or white, that's in a segregated group, hate group, how do they get there? Maybe if we tried to figure that out, maybe we can change some hearts and minds. Maybe. But we're not into that. We don't have the love and patience this lady had, do we? We just rush to judgment and want revenge, right? I believe you're evil, someone attacked you instead of trying to understand you and win you over. Hmm? I'm just saying. But these two were friends ever since. They developed a bond of friendship and they started out as enemies. And some people say, how did that happen? Believe it or not, with the power of God, God can change men's heart. And sometimes God uses other people to do it. Your example of kindness, understanding, patience, God might use you to change men's heart. And it didn't take no fighting. She didn't have to beat them down to get them thinking right, did she? Just saying. Okay, enough of that. Good story. Okay. And yeah, I saw the movie. The movie was a good movie. Best of the Enemies, go see it. Or well, it's not at theater, but get the DVD or stream it. Do that. Okay. Got three more videos.
Curious about why some white men are drawn to black women? It's a fascinating dynamic rooted in attraction, culture, and the power of connection beyond race. White men are often captivated by the strength, beauty, and confidence that black women exude. This attraction goes beyond physical appearance. It's about shared values, unique perspectives, and the chemistry that flows when two people from different backgrounds come together. If you're a black woman or a white man interested in exploring the exciting world of interracial dating, we want to hear from you. Comment below and share your thoughts or experiences on this intriguing connection. Let's dive into the conversation.
Awesome video. Okay. And look, why do white men love black women? Okay. What are some of the reasons? I know the haters will say, oh, it's a fetish and it's lost and it can't be true love because they got a different skin tone. No, it's because they see the value and beauty in black women. You know, And believe it or not, us white men, we see the beauty in black women, not just how they look on the outside, but we can feel the love. We appreciate a black woman's heart. We appreciate the love they give us. We appreciate the nurturing. Okay? Let me tell you something. I love everything about a black woman. How she looks, how she talks. I love her spirituality, the big heart, the nurturing. That's what we fall in love with. That's what we see. But people don't want to believe that because they don't want it to work. They don't want to see black and white people love each other. They want their segregated life. They want to be separate and have hate for other groups and think they're superior. Anyway, okay. That's a beautiful video. Okay, let's show this one.
Prefer black guys or white guys?
I am dating a Russian man right now. My type is black guys or white guys.
Really?
Yes.
So, but if you had to choose, what do you think would be better?
Whoever treats me the best.
Okay, and this is the most common thing I think in today's world. You know, somewhat, and a lot of people will open up their options, but they don't have a preference. And like her, she's like, well, she's in the black guys and white guys, whoever treats her the best. Who's going to step up and be a man and do the right thing. Okay? And hey, you know, have your options open, you know. But this I think's a lot more common than like me that just black women and look, it's not because hey, I'm just going to go with black women. No, there's a love there. There's a connection. Um, my life story, my experiences. I just fell in love with black women as a child, and it just stayed with me my whole life. But a lot of people could go either way, how they're going to be treated. Okay, that's what you're going to run into. And I'd say and if a woman's like that, no problem with that. You know, and maybe she gets to know you and falls in love with you because you treat her good, because you got a big heart. You're caring. A lot of times women want a man that'll just step up and protect them and make them feel beautiful and make them feel like they're the most beautiful woman alive. And I'm telling you, man, if your wife don't feel like she's beautiful and feel like she's loved, you need to look in the mirror because our wives should feel like the most beautiful woman on earth. They should feel secure, you know, and they should feel loved and appreciated, you know. But anyway, good video. You always see a lot of these. What do you prefer, black guys or white guys? I see that all over. They could ask white women or black women and just, I don't know, just to see what they say. But anyway, I think this is the most common one. Whoever treats them the best. Okay. Now, this last video, okay, and it's going to talk about biracial children. Or, well, a little bit about biracial children, but it's going to talk about why black people are with white people. She's going to give 3 reasons. And think about it. Is she right? We'll talk about it. Okay. Anyway, here it is.
Person wants a mixed baby.
Okay. Reasons why black people are skeptical of white people. She'll talk about interracial children and stuff, but let's hear her out.
When a black person wants a mixed baby, it's one of 3 reasons. The first is so that the child grows up with a closer proximity bias to whiteness. The parent thinks that the child will have an easier life because they're mixed with white. Reason number 2 is because they have a deep self-hatred and do not like their own features, so they want to change them by mixing with a white person. And number 3 is simply because they're in love with a white person.
Okay, and I think that's true. Um, why would somebody want to have a mixed child, right, or biracial child? And some people want to have biracial kids. Okay, don't get with somebody that's a different race for that. Okay, you get with the person because you love that person. Now with me and my wife, we have biracial children because she's black and I'm white, and we wanted children. Okay, but I didn't get with my wife because I wanted biracial children. No, I got with my wife because I love my wife, and the product of our love is biracial children, right? And it's a beautiful thing. I think all children are beautiful. I don't think one group's better than the other or none of that stuff. But is she right? Is there reasons why? Is there a self hatred that black people might want mixed children because they don't like the blackness? And can that go for white people too? They don't like being white, so they get with black people. It goes both ways in self hate. It does. So what are the reasons? I think with some people this is true what she's saying, and a lot of us have biracial children because of who we fell in love with, you know. And you know, I kind of feel weird when people start talking about biracial children. Like, you know, when me and my wife got married, oh, you guys are going to have such cute children. Oh, biracial children. If they tell us, you know, about our children. Leo, knock it off. Dang, that dog. Um, you know, people will say, oh, you're going to have such cute children. You know, and then when my children are born, oh, your kids are so cute. And me and my wife Sandra, my wife Sandra, we have cute children, no doubt. But they're cute because they're children. Um, but you know, some people have that thing they want biracial children, or they want someone that's a little lighter or darker. And to me, that's weird. You just look, your children are a product of you and your wife. And if you're the same race, they're going to be white. If you're both white, they're going to be white. If you're both black, they're going to be black. If one's black and white, it's going to be biracial. Either way, our children in our country are beautiful. Well, all children, not just our children in our country. But what I'm saying is, you know, we need to love our children. When I say our children, the children in our nation, okay? And not love one group more than the other. I'm just saying. Let's continue.
Now, there are 3 reasons why white people want to have mixed babies. Number 1 is because they think mixed babies are cute. Number 2 is that they have a deep self-hatred within themselves, feeling insuperior towards black people. They think that if they mix with a black person, then that child will ultimately be a reflection of them in black form. This is why mixed kids are normally not treated the best by their white moms. And number 3 is because they've fallen in love with a black person.
No, I think you're right. Good video. Okay. What do you guys think? And there could be some self hatred, sure. I believe some people feel, whether they're black or white, they'll feel inferior to the other group, so they'll get with that group to feel better about themselves. This could go white or black. Okay. And I would say get some help, get therapy, and understand we're people. One's not better than the other. And learn to love yourself. If you're white, it's okay to be white. I know some people would say that's racist, but if you're black, it's okay to be black. If you're Chinese, it's okay to be that. Be you. Be the best you that you are. Okay? I'm a white man. Okay? That's how I was born. That's what God made me. I love myself. I love the white guy I am. Now, I don't think I'm better than anybody, by no means. But I don't think I'm beneath anybody either. I'm just a man trying to make it in this world, take care of my wife and family. That's it. You know, love yourself. If you're black or white, if you're light skinned, dark skinned, and all this other craziness, love who you are. One is not better than the other. Okay? Love who you are. Because I believe if you really love yourself, you have the power to love everybody, regardless if they look like you or not. Anyway, that was a good video. But and look, children are cute. I mean, and uh-oh, I left. Let me come back. But we're people. And people say, "Oh my God, your kids are so cute in my family." Black and white kids are the cutest kids. My family would say that, and me and my wife would be like, kind of cringe, right? Yeah, they're cute, but all kids are cute. How, you know, my brother's got kids. They were cute. They're white because his wife's white. Mine are biracial, and it's okay. We need to love each other. Anyway, hello, Rain. How you doing? Hello.
Hey
Oh,
Brent, how are you? I'm sorry, I was on mute.
oh, no, no worries. How you doing, young lady?
I'm doing well for you.
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Yeah, I
Um,
just. Oh, go ahead.
I was just commenting on the video. I think like what was really missing when you're dating is dating with pure and genuine intentions and
Hmm.
not for fetish or for a quick time. And that's what I like
Right.
about your lives is that you center God. And when you center God in the middle of your relationship, only good things can come from it. So it is a little disheartening to hear the disparities of some biracial children and their upbringing.
Hmm.
Um, I I don't think that should be a factor
Right.
for and white men to not pursue one another. I do think there is a little difference when black women and white men do date because I think out of the two groups, they get the most heat, they get the most bullying, they get the most slack, they get the most tainted. And so their reasons for staying together are their bonds are a lot stronger, in my opinion. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so too. And it's like we'll get some heat, but it makes us stronger. And it's kind of like when black women, white men come together. It's almost like we're being vetted even before we start dating because of we do get a little more hate, I believe. And we when we come together, we're more we're more what's that word, more deliberate in it. When we
Yes.
get to that point, this is what we want. Okay, you don't like it. Okay, we're at the point we don't care. We're going to live our life. We love each other. We're just going to make it happen.
Yes.
And I think with with our counterparts, black men and white women, it seems like it's easier for them to get together,
Yes.
but they don't last as long. And
No.
and not all, but generally, statistically.
Yes.
And I think it's because we get so scrutinized
Right.
that when we come together, we're stronger. We already know what's coming our way.
Yes.
And I think that in a way, it don't feel good, but it's a blessing because you understand that the person you're with, you love them and you have to put them first. You have to kind of defy society, and not all everybody's against it. There's a lot of people that think, oh, okay, you love her, she's black, that's cool. Do
Mm-hmm.
you? There's some people that don't like that, you
Right.
know.
I do
Yeah.
agree with you on. I do think it society seems to accept white women, black male relationships, and normalize that more so than white men and black women. And I also feel like there's a difference as far as visibility. I think black women and white men hold their relationships very sacred. I notice a lot of interracial couples with black women and white men are very secretive, very private, very personal. They don't really share certain aspects of their relationship because of the sacredity of it. So I have noticed that a little bit more
Mhm.
so than other relationships. But I also feel that when black women and white men date, that there are instances where white women and black men kind of cock block and speak on behalf of black women and white men
Mhm.
um, when it doesn't involve them. And so I think that kind of can um, go with the scrutiny and the tainting and, you know, the reasons why you shouldn't. And then I think the black woman has to always show she's down for the black community still while
Right.
being intertwined with a white male. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you should go where you're loved, go where you're admired, go where you're appreciated. But I don't think you owe a community or your black card, for instance, should be up for grabs because you're in an interracial relationship with a non-black person. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen that. And I think us as white men, um, I think we have a little more freedom with that because when I would date out, I didn't have to prove nothing to white. I didn't care. You either love me for who I am or you don't like that I'm in an interracial relationship. I don't owe you nothing. And I look at it like white women don't owe me nothing either. If they go with black men or Asian, that's their business, and
Right,
we need to respect that because
right,
it's a personal choice who you date and marry. And
right,
far too often we get to think, oh, we need to stay with our own kind because
right,
nobody can love you like your own kind can, which is a lie. Um,
right.
you know what I mean? Not saying you can't have a good marriage within your own race, but what I'm saying is color has nothing to do with it. It's what's in your heart, your character, and how much you love each other. That's at the end of the day, that's what it is. And if you can
Exactly.
love each other more than your problems, you're going to make it. You know.
Exactly.
And
I agree. I totally agree. I don't know. I think it's just more of a fixation um with black women and white men. um I personally, my dating experiences with non-black men have been very enlightening. I always learn something new about myself or about life or about a subject. So I do think black women and white men have more in common than they think. You
they
can
do.
really have some enlightening conversation. I mean, I've had enlightening conversations just with non-black men in general. You could have like global societal issues, and they're very well versed. And white men do love intelligent women, and they're very intrigued by your intelligence. But I'm not here to convince. I don't like that because I don't want black women to feel forced.
Right.
And I don't want black women that their first picks are black men. I'm just attracted to who I'm attracted to while not having to bring up black males because they're not relevant to who I'm dating. So I
Right.
definitely don't want black women who feel like "Ugh, there's no options for me, so I I'm going to go here, and they're not healed, and there's trauma. And so I don't think that would be a good fit. It's really for women who just never really thought it as an option because they haven't either been in proximity to it, or maybe just something just like your podcast and so many others that promote interracial relationships. It's kind of like a light bulb goes off in your head and say, I never really thought of it. I'm not against it. And so that's where I think a
Right.
lot of Black women are. They're not against it. I think many of them are not in proximity. They don't know how to become in proximity to white non-black males. And then also there's this fear, the history. I do know that there is a history, and it's not always good between the
Right.
Black woman and white men. But
Mhm.
as time has progressed on, um, it has gotten better, and I have found that white men have been actually more open to talking about race relations in conversation if it's brought up. But I
Yeah.
think it's a good dynamic. I do. I think I see Black women being more feminine. If you want to have like that femininity come out in you as a Black woman, if you want and you value family, if you value marriage, I won't tell a Black woman to court a Black male in 2025, because I just don't think statistically and even visual wise that those particular relationships garner what Black women want. And I do feel there are a lot of Black women that value God and value being a stay-at-home mom, raising kids, having a father for their children, having a partner who supports their dreams and ambitions. So I think they make a very good power couple, as far as their ideas, and can feed and fuel off of one another. And I do think Black women are great at affirming when men do right by them. So I think that really helps boost, um, their confidence as well. So I encourage those that are curious and are genuinely into non um, Black men to put yourselves in spaces that Black men are. I mean, excuse me, white men are. And a lot of Black women are like, well, where can I find them? Country clubs, golf clubs, aviation conferences, and like, of course, Google like predominantly white towns. Montana is a great place
Mhm.
for interracial dating. Colorado is as well. Oregon is phenomenal. I had a great time in Oregon.
Yeah.
And so,
Mhm.
Washington State,
Yeah.
Wisconsin. So, I mean, you just have to be open and not closed-minded and thinking like it's going to be a race issue. Not every white man is going to be interested in a Black woman, just like every Black woman wouldn't be interested in a white man.
Right.
That's not who we're referencing. But I do
Right.
think you do have to put yourself in proximity and be open to converse.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with what you said, and yeah, and I think it's easier for us men because than Black women, because I think, well, as men we're supposed to approach. So you either got to get your confidence up or you miss out. You know, and that's their job. But for women, they don't want to be too forward. They don't want to approach a man, right? But sometimes just smiling, if he's looking at you, maybe just say hi, a conversation. A lot of times, and speaking about where do you find these guys? They're all around. And what always encouraged me when I was dating back, you know, back in the day, so long ago. But, what would encourage me with a Black woman is if I got a smile. or I got that look, that didn't mean she was interested, but it boosted my confidence. Like, hey, I might have a, I might have a chance here, so I'll
Right,
just take my shot. Sometimes that's all it takes.
right,
Um, you know, and here's the thing, and I think this is true with black women and white men, and a lot of us think that we don't like each other. Like a lot of white men think black women just aren't interested in white men because we hear black women, pro black women say black men are everything and that's all they want. And
right.
that's not every black woman, that's just a certain black woman's opinion. Uh,
Exactly.
and vice versa. A lot of black women think that white men aren't interested because we're not approaching like black men are. Well, it's it's not that we don't want to date black women. It's out of the norm. You might see a black woman or white man, and they might just walk past you because they're not thinking about dating you. Because when they date, it's always usually the people in their community, and sometimes that can, we might misunderstand and think, oh well, they're not interested. Because I hear a lot of black women say, well, where they at? Are they going to approach or what? Well, it's a different. How can I say this? It's black men and white men are different in our approach, and it's more of a cultural thing, and I think a lot of times that's where the confusion is, and a lot of times us white men we're we're very cautious on our approach because we don't want to offend black women. We don't want to say the wrong thing. We don't want to appear like we're fetishizing you, and we don't want you to think we're racist, and we don't want you to think this and that, and it's all going through our head. But when we should just look at it, I'm a man, she's a woman, I'm attracted to her, let me talk to her and see what happens. And that's just how we need to do it as men. And women, be where they're at, be strategic, and nobody dresses up better than a black woman. Black women, when you get dressed up, you look beautiful, and you know how to dress and color coordinate and all that. That catches our eye. You know, and there's going to be some curiosity, and that's okay. Black women are different, and a lot of times that catches our eye. They have different hairstyles, um, different features. Black women have a beauty about them that's different than other women. Black women have a unique beauty about them, and not just their physical appearance, but their emotions, their spirituality. There's something about black women, and I've said this over and over, and I felt it my whole life. There's like an essence about them, um, and I've said this between black women that are in their 20s, or they could be in their 80s. They have a certain beauty about them. There's like a certain sweetness. There's like caring. They say black women are the most nurturing. That's true. And I'm not saying other women ain't like that either, because they are, but something is beautiful and special about black women. I'm just going to say that. And that's what I fell in love with black women, you know? And my wife is amazing. I can't even believe I've been blessed like I have been. I don't deserve my wife by no means, but I do appreciate her and I love her and I thank God for her, you know? Anyway, um, I could talk all night about this, but
No, those were good points. When you had mentioned like all of the thoughts that white men might have when approaching a black woman, it's the actual same for black women, and it's just really tied to the past and the fact that white men know how hard the majority of black women go for black men. And that's, I
yeah,
think, the biggest thing is she's probably just not in the white guys. She's probably not into white men.
right,
So, and the same things could be going on in a black woman's
Yeah.
um head, and so you just have to get out of your head. Brett, you already exuded confidence. You knew what you want. You knew what you wanted. You went for it. And whether it didn't turn out the way you wanted, it didn't deter you from what you liked. And so
Mm.
I just find like if you put yourself in proximity to single non-black males and you're doing similar hobbies, um, just converse, kind of
Yeah.
have the, and it can happen, but they do move extremely differently than black males,
Yeah.
especially white males who date or are wanting to be with a woman. It's with intent. So I do think they move differently, and I do think black women and white men, some black women and some white men move the same. They have
Yeah.
similar auras. So I just think it's a good fit. I just see black women happier. I see the partner she's with like proud to provide, proud to make her happy, keep her happy. So I mean, I that's why I say give it a try if you're genuinely interested, because what do you have to lose? Start dating with
Right.
intent. If it doesn't work out, cut it off. Get you a burner phone. You know, you're
Right.
concerned about dating, but give it a chance. You know.
Yeah. And also, Rain, I just, you talk about a burner phone. You can also get a Google number, you know, and
Yep.
if and I've gotten Google numbers where I'll talk to people online, but if they turn out to be weird and I just get rid of the number and they
Exactly.
you just cuts them off right then and there. I,
Exactly.
but yeah, that's good advice, and yeah, but yeah, just a lot of times we just got to look at it as man and woman and get the racial thing out of your head, because really and you're going to deal with rejection. Rejection's part of life. Look, I opened up my options, but you know what? There were plenty of black women that said, "No, I'm not interested," and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. You know, but the ones that were interested, you know what? It felt good. I felt I appreciated it. It made me feel good. Like, hey, she's into me. And sometimes rejection can be protection. Maybe you're not meant to be with that person. And don't let rejection discourage you. Everybody gets rejected. Okay. But when you're accepted, it has meaning. And I think I want to make this point. I think a lot of times with us white men, what makes our relationship strong is a lot of times we don't expect to be with that black woman. We want to be with her, but we don't expect it. And when we approach and she accepts us, it's like we really appreciate it. We don't take her for granted. Like maybe a black man might because, he's with black women all the time. And it's, you know, mentally it's easier for him because that's his community. But us white guys were thinking, oh, okay, I got to be on my A game. I got to, you know, do everything right. And in our mind, we're thinking, there's a chance she's not going to be interested. But when she is, it means something. And I think rejection can be a blessing to where, when you're accepted, you appreciate it. Does that make sense? I mean, none of us like rejection at all. It
Right.
hurts, right? But
Right.
Yeah, but it's part of life.
right? But rejection to on like on your and continue to make one in a partner. I mean, just date with intent. If it doesn't work out, cut the date off, move on to the next. I don't really encourage too much online dating. I really encourage like to go out. Like I think
Yeah,
the festivals coming up, start going to white men are. You have to ask yourself, where are the white men at that I'm interested in? And so start going on like different forums and finding meetup and interacting, and you know,
yeah,
f- finding things that you have in common. A great
right.
way to, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rain. And look, well, I'm old school. I never did the online dating thing. When I was dating, and you gotta think, I was dating in the mid '80s till '93 was my last date, and that was with my wife. Right, got married in '94. So, but we didn't have online dating. I mean, it was there, but it was rare. Um, and I never experienced it. Anytime I dated, I had to approach. I had to go up and talk to the woman, and either I'm going to get rejected or accepted, depending on if she's interested or not. But it was up close and personal, and I agree with you. I think that's the best way because you kind of see what you get. You know, Sometimes people might not be who they say they are. Sometimes you get some pictures of someone that's real attractive. That could be a earlier picture. If I went on a dating site and showed a picture of me when I was in my 20s, I'd get a lot of hits. But if I show my face now, not so much. You know what I mean? People ain't going to be interested than when I was younger. And sometimes you run into that. Sometimes it looks good on paper, but you don't. It's just best to get to know the person, And some people have told me, well, they found their love on online dating, and some people do. Um, I just I agree with you. I think it's best to be in person because you're talking to them. It's like what you see is what you get. I mean, you got to get to know the person, but you have a visual, a real live person. You're not looking at a picture and reading their profile or whatever. You know. So I do agree with that. I think it's better for us men to approach and you know and and I just think it. I think online dating's easy because you go in, click a thing, or I mean, I don't know. I haven't done it, but you could say whatever, and you're not nervous. You're not like it. I don't know. I would think it'd be easier that way, but when you're up close and personal, your your heart's racing. You're nervous. You don't know what her reaction's going to be. You might stutter. You might, you know. And it's funny because when I approached my wife, I was a nervous wreck, and because I was into her, I and I was nervous, stuttering. My heart was racing, and the one thing my wife told me, she said, "You know what?" Because I said, I mean, I was probably goofy when I talked to you, and you probably didn't understand what I said. And she said, "Well, I could see it in your eyes." And she thought it was cute. She thought it was beautiful because she said she could feel that I had feelings for her just based on my reaction, my nervousness, my stuttering. But the thing of it is I went through it, even though it was very uncomfortable. I was nervous. I didn't think I had a chance. I felt I was looking stupid. Oh my God, all this is running through my head. But she accepted me, you know? And we got married, and we've been married for over 31 years now. We got kids, grandkids. And I look back and I think, what if I would have said, no, not now. I just don't feel like it. You know, I would have missed out on all that. So I would say to me, if you're interested, just do it. It don't look. You're going to have to deal with rejection, and none of us want to go through it, but it's life. But you got to do it. You got to be bold enough to just do it. And I think it's better. Rain, tell me if I'm wrong, and maybe women might have a different perspective. But from what I heard from my wife and other women, I think a lot of times women want you to just be real, and they're not always into the man that has the perfect words, that suave that comes through. Sometimes they like a guy that might stutter a little bit, a guy that just, because it's real. He's interested. If he's smooth with the words, how many times is he smooth with other women? You know,
Right.
I,
Right. It's about like the energy and the authenticity, and the eyes never lie. So yeah. Um and that's why I said just vet, and I guess if you do online, use that as a chat to kind of
mhm,
filter out if you want to waste time or not, because usually you'll move offline quickly. In my opinion, I moved offline quickly to a date. And
yeah,
so it wasn't like I was online for weeks. It was like, okay, we matched, we talked online to make sure, the we I did it to ensure I wasn't a catfish.
right,
And that's why I did it, to reassure the males, because many of them have been catfished. So you vibe, and then they usually ask you out for a date. So, and then from there, and you meet somewhere public, and you date, and then, that's really what it's about. Putting yourself
yeah,
out there, you
yeah,
know.
and yeah, that's right. And you just got to be strategic and have your standards and be. And I would say just be cautious, especially to women, ladies. You're more vulnerable than men are. I have your standards. Be safe. Don't go off to an undisclosed location with a man because you don't know if he could be a weirdo, a crazy guy. And all races of men have good and bad. Just keep that in mind. Be in a safe space. If it don't work out, you can escape and get away. Okay. Um, you know, and I say men be careful too because you could be set up. Just be cautious. Be safe about it. Make sure you know who you're dating. Okay. Don't just fall in love with them because they're attractive and they make you feel good when you're around. Make sure you know who you're dating, who you're thinking about being in a relationship with. You know, and you can't just vet because men and women both can lie and tell you what you want to hear. You got to have your standards. If you just met the guy, you're on your second date and he's trying to touch you and get that's a big red flag, you know. And
Exactly.
because there are guys out there that'll tell you what you want to hear and just to get with you, for a sexual experience. And they could be, they could fetishize, they could be a different race or the same race. Don't think a man of your same color won't fetishize you. It's a universal thing. It's not exclusively that white men do. Okay, keep that in mind. People fetishize each other. Okay, um, make sure it's more than the physical attraction. Anyway, the physical shouldn't happen till marriage. Anyway, you find you love each other. You have the spiritual love, the emotional love. You love each other that way, and if it leads to marriage, then the physical comes in. And it's like the icing on the cake. But you got to love each other in all areas. Okay? A lot of times people make the mistake that they jump in because they're physically attracted and go for the physical part, and they're not compatible in the other areas. Ladies and gentlemen, don't do that. Okay? If you love that person, you can wait, you know. And if you're not, and this is and this goes along with my faith. If you're not willing to marry the woman, you have no business touching her. Okay? And, and people think I'm crazy in today's world saying that. Well, Roadrunner, I understand what you're saying, but it's the modern world. We're not like that no more. Well, that's the problem. We should be more like that. We need to make sure we love each other before we go to the physical part. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but people are going to do what they want to do. But what I'm saying is, if you want true love, you got to do it the right way. You know,
I
you know,
agree. And
yeah,
continue to date and don't be afraid to um, ask questions early on so you don't waste your time. You know,
yes,
if a person says wants a serious relationship, then you want to reiterate that at the beginning of the date just to establish that you're on the same page because
right,
sometimes it we'll see where it goes is not the same thing. So um just continue to date and do it safely. I know some are concerned, but I do think meeting at isolated places like hotels, motels, apartments, people's homes, um, is not something that you should be doing. You should just be dating out in the open space. Um, so I think just to be mindful of how you date is important. But I didn't have any fear about my dates. They were actually well aware. Um, uh, they were well aware of the whole stereotype of the dating and stuff. So they were more mindful. So I didn't have that experience. It was more like they were showing me different experiences. And
mm,
so that you should date people that you have things in common with and um
right,
don't be afraid, like Brent said, rejection or that, oh, it didn't work out, but make sure you have three or four dates lined up. And that's to me dating. It's like you're dating. It's not like you're stopping dating unless that person is meeting you where you want to be met. And it's, moving forward. But like Brett said, like the physical part, that can be on the table.
right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if the man loves you, he can wait. Look, when I was dating my wife, yeah, there was a physical attraction. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say I didn't desire her. Of course I did, but I understood that that comes later, and I was okay with just hanging out with my wife. Love it. I love being around her. I love doing things with her, hanging out with her, talking all night. I mean because I was in love with her. Just being around her was enough for me. And and then that physical comes later. It comes, when you get married, and like I said, that's the icing on the cake. And then you have love in all areas. It's like an engine, right? You have like 6 or 8 cylinders, right? And if you ever drive your car, it's when it's firing on all cylinders, it's running good, it's running smooth. But once one of those cylinders isn't firing, you lose a lot of power. The car don't run right. It gets loud. Uh, that's the same thing with love. You might have the physical part, and maybe you like hanging out, but maybe something's missing in your spirituality. Maybe you're not emotionally connected. Then that could be a problem. So it's best to make sure you love each other, and then because a lot of people, like I said, and the reason I talk about the physical, because most people they're attracted to each other, they date a bit, and they jump in bed, and guess what? They find out maybe this wasn't meant to be, and then guess what? Now you messed up. Now mentally you're messed up because you're intimate with someone you don't really love, and that can be destructive. Okay, so the love has to be real, and like I said, and you know, and the reason I talk about this because I see it all the time, and I've seen it all my life, and we just don't think we're not strategic. Be strategic, and especially ladies. And I have this talk with my daughters, and I tell them if he's got to touch you, he don't love you. If he loves you, he'll wait till marriage. And if he won't wait till marriage, kick him to the curb. Get away from him immediately. Okay? And the talk I have with my daughters, I'm having with you ladies. And guys, you got to be strong and look, because a woman wants to wait till she's married don't mean she don't love you. Okay? She just wants to do it the right way. And you as a man should want it the right way for you too, because it could damage you too, you know. But anyway, I don't want to get too far into that, but you know, we just need to be strategic in standards. Bottom line standards. And ladies, what you want in a man, that's your standard. You have every right to your standard. Okay? Don't let no one compromise your standards. If you want a man that has a good career and is making decent money and can there's nothing wrong with that. You should want that anyway. That's not a gold digger. That means you want a man that's productive. Okay? And it's okay to want to be with a man that's successful. Because guess what? If he's hardworking, he makes a good wage, he can have a house. Guess what? You and your children will be taken care of. If you say, well, it's not about what he's got, or, all that matters is love, I'm going to say no. Okay? A man has to provide. And my father always told me, he said, son, if you can't afford a wife, you do not deserve a wife. Meaning, you got to have a career, you got to have money coming in, or you shouldn't get married. Straight up. And ladies, hold these men to that standard. If they don't have a career, if they're not making money, why are you messing with them? And if he loves you, he'll get it together to where he can provide for you. Um, and women need to be a lot more hypergamous, especially black women. You need to look. You're the treasure. You're the prize. Okay, and for that man to have the opportunity, the blessing to have you in his life, he's got to be able to provide for you. And not just the bare minimum, what your standard is. Okay? Remember, ladies, when you give yourself to a man in marriage, you're giving him everything. Okay? He needs to give you everything back. Remember, it's an investment. I'm just saying, don't settle. Don't think you can rebuild the guy. If he ain't right, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to fix him. And guys, same thing with women. I learned it the hard way. I dated a woman that took advantage of me and hurt me bad because I thought, and I seen the red flags, but I thought I could fix it. As long as I show her love and and it'll work out. No, it didn't work out because I ignored the red flags because I love her and I could fix it. No, you can't. Learned a very valuable lesson. Okay, and this was a black woman. And black women, for the most part, I've always had good relationships with, and I took it for granted. Well, it's a black woman. Black women are amazing, right? Huh. Ladies, same thing. You might have dated a white guy that treated you right, but it didn't work, and you might think the next white guy is going to be a good man, and that's how white men are. Well, yes and no. Know who you're with. There's good and bad and all. Okay? That's my biggest advice. Standards, ladies. Don't just let them tell you what you want to hear. Okay? Have your standards. And if you feel uncomfortable the way the relationship's going, you don't meet the standards, he's gone. Don't get caught up. Oh, you're attracted to him. You got to be strong in this. And I know it's easier said than done. But just going on my experience, look, and it goes that way with men too. A lot of men think they got they're with a woman they love. They think they could. There's red flags, and they think they can change her heart. Nope, only God can do that, and they got to want to change. You know what I'm saying? So don't roll the dice in a relationship and hope that they change. Can it happen? Sure, there's always an exception to the rule, but that exception is rare. If a man ain't right when you're dating him, most likely he ain't going to be right when you take the relationship to the next level. And you don't want to marry somebody that has red flags going everywhere. Okay. Sorry, Rain, I get carried away. Yeah. But my thing is, you know, I think I encourage people to open up their options, but I only encourage the ones that want to, that that are looking, to open up their options for love and marriage. Okay, I'm not into the swirl because it's exciting and it's trendy and no, don't do that. Make sure it's about love and don't waste nobody's time because that person you're with might not be there for the good time. They might be looking for marriage and a family. Okay, and you know, but anyway, but to me, black women are that hidden treasure, and black women have been a blessing to me. Not just dating, but friendships. Like I said at church, um, the women in my wife's family have been a blessing. There's something about black women, and I'll say it and say it over and over. Ladies, you're beautiful, you're amazing, and don't settle for less. You get what you want. It's about you. It's your world. You and wherever you want to be, wherever you want to live, that's your community, that's your neighborhood. Okay? Get what you want. Okay? And make sure he's deserving of your love. Of and make sure he appreciates you and loves you more than life itself. Okay? Because like I said, you are the prize, you are the treasure. Okay? And if the man can't love you and respect you as that, He don't deserve you. Okay, and you have options. You can date any group of men, ladies. You know, it's not just black men. There are white men. There are Asian men. There are Indian men, and like I said before, the top earners are Asian and Indian men right now. Okay, so keep that in mind. But don't just go for a man because of finances. Um, you got to love him too and be attracted to him. I don't, don't go just for the money because that'll be the biggest heartbreak you'll ever have. You know, but anyway, I get carried away. Um, but I hope my advice helps. And ladies, I hope you know how much you're loved and appreciated. And and guys, hey, I have love for you too that follow me. And I hope you find the woman of your dreams. And if you're married and in a relationship, I hope your marriage lasts forever and you have everything you want in life. You know, I pray for our country. I pray for us as a nation coming together. That's my dream. Some will say that's a fantasy. There's too much hate in this world, but there's a lot of love too. So, you know, and it's okay to love somebody of a different racial group. That's okay, and it's okay to say it. So many times, people always knew I love black women, but I would never go out and just say it. Well, why not? Why not express love for people? Nothing wrong with it, as long as I'm not tearing down anybody else. If I say black women are beautiful and amazing and I love them, is that attacking anybody? No, it's not. But if I say I love black women because Becky's, you know, messed up in the head, then I'm bashing. And true love, you just love them. You don't have time to bash nobody else. I believe that, and I think that's a big red flag. If someone's interracially dating and they're hating on their own, their group, um, that can be a red flag. It don't necessarily mean they don't like it. They just might have been hurt by people in their group, and maybe they're lashing out. You know, but I don't know. I just never. We have our preferences, and preferences are okay. But but don't attack somebody else because of their preference, or you know that's the only thing. You um what's that? A lot of West African scammers online dating sites usually steal attractive man's profile. I've heard of that. Yeah, that is a real thing. I've had in the past, I've had women email me about that from Africa and you know from other different countries where women might be looking to interracially date, find a husband, and they show like they'll get profile pictures of attractive men that, oh, I'm looking to settle down, and do a back and forth, and you think, wow, this guy's interested in me, and he's financially straight, got a good heart, and you might be talking to somebody else. It's like that catfishing thing. But yeah, there are scams. Okay, and I would say to African women, be careful. They will scam you. Okay, there are false dating sites. Be careful. Okay, and wherever you live, be careful. Just be cautious. Okay, online dating, to me, I wouldn't do it. But when I grew up, we had the approach, or that's it. There wasn't really a dating app. We didn't walk around with smartphones, and We didn't have that. In fact, the only ones that had phones were rich people. They didn't come till later on. And then we had landlines. You want to talk on the phone, you had to go home and call. And when you were dating back in the 80s, like I was, oh man, if you want to talk to your girlfriend, you know, you'd have to share the phone with your parents, and that was hard to communicate. It's not easy. It wasn't easy like it is now. You just pull out your phone and call somebody or text them. Um, but it's a different world back then. Um, we have more technology now, which is nice. I enjoy technology. I love it. I love my smartphone, looking stuff up. You know, when I back in the day, you want to learn stuff, you'd have to pull out the encyclopedias and read those. Now you just pull up on your smartphone. Things have changed. Dating has changed. Like I said, I can't really give you advice on dating. My last date was in '93, and that was with my wife Sandy. So I don't even know what it would be like in today's world. but but I can tell you this, okay? If I can open up my options back in the day and have successful relationships and have a successful interracial marriage, you can have that too. Okay? You just got to find the right person that you mesh with. And don't be afraid to open up those options. You might just find a blessing. The person that truly loves you might not look like you. And I tell you, that's okay, you know? And you can see beauty in different people. I always found black women to be amazing and beautiful. And I thank my family for that. I thank my parents that didn't think I was crazy or strange because I was attracted to black women. They just wanted me to have a good wife. I wish more people were like that. We'd be a better society. But anyway, enough of that. I'm gonna have to close up. We've been on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Um, yeah. Rain. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and close up. Um, you want to say something before we go? Um, I just want to say that I appreciate you coming up. It's always good talking to you, Rain, and I appreciate your perspective, and you know, I appreciate you being part of this show. And come back anytime. You're always welcome. And but anyway, I thank you for coming up. I really enjoyed our discussion, and you know, and I just want to show love, and you know, and I just say, you know what? Pray about it, guys. When you open up your options, put it in God's hands, but be vigilant. Be uh, be strategic. Have your standards. Okay, but that's all I have. Okay, Rain, are you there? I think you're on mute. Hello. Okay, maybe I put her to sleep because I was talking so much. Hey, Rain. Rain, are you still connected? I think it says you're muted. Okay. Well, she's muted right now. Um. Oh. Okay. I don't know if there's some difficulties or But anyway, Rain, I just want to thank you, young lady, for coming up. I want to thank you for the discussion we had. Um, you're welcome up here anytime. Okay. Um, and I want to thank everybody for being part of this show tonight. Um, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Um, supporting this channel. Without you guys, this don't exist. Once you start getting tired of the Roadrunner, the Roadrunner disappears. Um, but seriously, I do appreciate you guys being up here. Um, I love the discussions. I appreciate Rain coming up here. She always has, an awesome perspective on things, and you know. But ladies, I just want you to be careful. I tell guys to be careful too, but especially you ladies. Okay, um, be safe. We hear on the news crazy things happen. Okay, um, you know, have your standards. Know who you're dating. Okay, uh, I think we should look at it as courting. You know, um, seeing if it's a good fit, getting to know each other. Um, Back in the day, they used to do that. They would court. You found a young lady you're interested in when you're a young man, and you would spend a little time with her. It's called courting to see if you guys were a good fit. To see if there's a possibility that that could be your wife. Um, I think we need to be more strategic when we choose who we're going to date and marry, whether you're a man or woman, and have your standards. Your standards are yours. Okay. Um, but I thank you so much, Rain. I don't know if your device ain't working, or I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I put you to sleep with my talking. But hey, I appreciate you coming up. It was a great conversation. Come up anytime. You're always welcome. And guys, if you ever want to come up to the panel, just hit the link, and we can talk. And but anyway, guys, have a good night. I'm gonna go ahead and close it. Um, this is the encouragement. Oh, thanks. Yeah, look, we're human at the end of the day. Open up your options. Don't be afraid, ladies. Okay. Interracial dating is a lot easier than you will think. Okay. Um, all right, but you're going to get rejection. That's part of life. It's okay. But anyway, guys, open up your options. Okay. Don't be afraid. If you're looking for love and marriage, I say, hey, take that swirl to investment. All right. I encourage swirling when it's done the right way. But anyway, guys, have a good night. God bless you and your family. And let me just say a quick prayer. Um, Lord, thank you so much for tonight. Lord, thank you for everybody that came up, Lord. And I pray that you would bring us together as a nation, Lord, that both black and white people could love each other and just be one nation. Lord, please help us get there. Please help us, Lord. Those of us that want to be in an interracial relationship, Lord, please help us find that good person that loves us with all their heart. And I pray that these women find a good husband and the men find a good wife. And those that are married, I pray that you keep their marriage strong, and their families happy, Lord. And I pray, Lord, that you uplift these women, and make them feel beautiful and amazing like they are. And Lord, I just pray that you uplift us all, and give us the courage to get out of our comfort zone and find that true person that loves us. Lord, please give us that courage. I pray. And I pray that you let me come up again on YouTube and have another show, Lord. And I pray that you just put your hand on our nation and fill us full of love for one another and make us a strong nation, but a loving nation. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. Anyway, let's see if Rain, are you still there? Rain, thank you so much. I think something happened to her device. Um, but anyway, guys, I love you. Okay. Hey there, Indiana Mom. Oh, later, Gators. Guys, it was good having this show. I love you guys. You know, you guys make my day. You're beautiful and amazing. Rain, thank you so much, young lady. You're a blessing. It was good having you on tonight. And guys, have a blessed night. God bless you and your family. Okay. And you know, just be amazing like you are. Okay. And I love you guys. I pray for you all the time. You're amazing. You are a true blessing. Thank you for your love and support to me and my wife, Sandy. Okay. We both appreciate you guys more than you know. Okay. You are a blessing. You're the ones that make me want to do YouTube. Okay. And I love YouTube. I love doing this. But thank you guys. Good night. Have a blessed night, a good weekend. God bless you and your families. And I'll see you next Saturday. Have a good night. God bless.